Hi, I'm Coach Milijana, and I'll teach you how I do tapping emotional freedom technique. I like to combine it with NLP, with other modalities, so that we can get a big outcome. So here's how we start. So let's work on something that is something you feel you don't want to feel, like anger, fear, sadness, whatever it is, worry, even something physical, back pain, knee pain. So pick one thing, and then you repeat for yourself what it is. And so let's say I'm going to work with worry, fear, stress. And we start with subjectively assessing what we feel, how we feel. So from 0 to 10. So 0 means nothing's there. There's no worry, there's no fear, there's no stress, there's no emotion, there's no pain. 10 means it's a maximum, like it's a 10 out of 10. Now, I've also worked with clients that sometimes would get beyond 10. So it really reflects how intense it is. So let's start. We can talk and tap. So repeat after me. Even though I feel fear, worry, and stress, I'm still willing to observe it all and accept it all. Even though I feel fear, worry, and stress, and I feel it in my gut, my chest, my shoulders, and my head, especially my chest, I still choose to love and accept myself anyway. Even though I feel fear, worry, and stress about work, about relationships, about my health, add something specific, and it feels like an 8 or 9 out of 10, I still choose to love and accept myself anyway. So, side note, so we've given ourselves a number, we notice where in our body do we feel the sensation, and then I'll take you through the EFT points. My next point that I go to is the top of our head, either this way or this way, right this way. All this fear, and then you repeat after me, all this fear. Eyebrows, where they start growing, all this fear. Side of your eyes, all this stress, all this worry under your eyes. Under the nose, I do it this way to preserve the lipstick. All this fear, chin, all this worry, and all this stress. Collarbones, back to 2 hands. Now, side note, you can also use one hand, and sometimes if you have insights, you can write things. When I work with clients, I tap with them, and often I type some of the specific things they share, because solutions are often in specificity. So if anything comes up for you, say it out loud. And when you tap, it directly sends signals to the amygdala. It works with, it's a somatic exercise, plus combined with modern psychology, but also ancient Chinese acupressure points and the meridians. So it brings great insights and great resolutions. So let's go back to repeat after me. All this fear, worry, and stress. And either one side or both sides, or some people do it this way, whatever is comfortable for you. And if any point is feeling uncomfortable, you can just skip it, really. So take a big breath in and out. I'm afraid that I'm not going to get this job done. Or I'm afraid I'm not going to get this job. And I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job. I'm afraid that my business is not going to be successful. What's your specificity? I worry all day and all night. And I wish I was more peaceful. I wish I had more clarity. I wish I was more decisive. But I catch myself worrying and stressing. And there are real reasons to stress about. But what if I can also do it calmer and more decisive? Deep breath in, top of your head. This stress has been with me for the last few years. And I know it's also influencing my health, my sleep, my relationships, my wealth. And then just kind of like let things come up and feel into it. And then let's go back into the body. I feel all of this worry, fear, and stress, mainly in my chest, but also stomach. And now it feels like a 7 out of 10. It was an 8 or 9, but now it's a 7. Assess yourself. And then, so I just did like a deep breath in unintentionally. So when you take unintentional, like deep breaths in, you yawn or you have little burps, that is your body releasing, and that's a good sign. All this fear, all this worry, all this stress, I don't know if I can handle it, but I wish I knew how to handle it because I'm tired of constantly being afraid, stressed, and worried. Question to you, question to me. If this emotion or emotions, if they were a color, what color would they be? For me, let's just say it's a grayish black. What is it for you? And then the next question is, if it was a shape, it's out of your eyes, if it was a shape, what would it look like? For me, it's like a brick, but it's like a thin brick, but there's some wood to it. Like again, like, because I visualize a lot, it can be very visual. But most people, it could be a blob, it could be an actual image, it could be an object, it could be just a sensation. And then you do ask yourself, if it could look like something, what would it look like? Now, the longer you tap, and even just thinking about it is going to be beneficial. When you talk about it and you start asking specific questions, um, you'll you'll start getting also realizations and solutions. Collarbones. So I would say this black, gray, stress, worry, and fear. And you repeat your specific color, shape, object. This brick, this dark gray black thing feels afraid, worried, and scared and stressed. And so now we start with questions. So ask this part and just notice what comes up. So this part that now we looks like something's got a color. Tell me part and welcome it in. Welcome, welcome. How long do you exist for? How old are you? And just notice what comes up. It might be a number, it might be a sensation, it might be like a knowing. If a number comes up like 12, I don't know, you go, okay, ask it. Do you exist for 12 years or do you exist since I was 12? And follow the energy. It doesn't have to make logical sense. You will feel the just the truth, the alignment to it. So good. So tell me, like great heart. So you ask the same question. What was or what is your positive intention for when you were created? And just notice what comes up. Very often it's protection, for us to be safe, or to avoid pain, further pain, or embarrassment, or to be broke, live under the bridge, to be rejected. Just notice what it is. Very, very often it's protection and to avoid something. Breath in. And then it's okay, because you want me to feel protected and you want to avoid this. What do you want for me instead? Tap and think, tap and let things come up. So for me, it would be like, well, I want you to feel safe. What is it for you? Ask the next question. When I am safe, what will I be able to feel then? Free. I'll be able to feel free, peaceful, happy, joyful. Okay. And feel a sense of gratitude for what is coming up. So this part is actually sharing to you what higher values it wants to meet. Now we're moving into NLP. Okay. So tell me, gray part. Now it's starting to be a little bit bluish. Okay. So notice what's also coming to you. It's for me now a 5. When I have the freedom, the joy, the happiness, what will be different in my life? And I'm getting like a sense of just more freedom, freedom to do, freedom to record these videos, freedom to communicate from a higher place of authenticity. Again, I'm catching now, authenticity is also one of core values for people. So tell me, Part, would you be willing to play a new role so that you can help me meet those values of authenticity, freedom, happiness, joy? So my part says yes. If your part says yes, awesome. If it says like, yeah, not sure, don't know how, that also means it's willing. So yeah. And then repeat after me. What if I can feel happy doing my day-to-day tasks, knowing that I'm building something great? You can do one hand or both hands. What if I can give myself moments of peace, reflect, and get into decisiveness and courage, another two values, to go towards clarity and action. So for me, drop down to a 2. What about you? And your arm. What if it's possible to be peaceful and happy and free while also preparing for what could go wrong, basic risk management in companies, whole life, so that I feel peaceful. So if this happens, these are my options. However, I want to focus on this, and I want to, where our focus go, our energy and life force goes as well. However, in EFT and other techniques, so just tap and chill, and let things come up. In EFT and other points, it's really beneficial to acknowledge what actually is. So not putting a band-aid over an open flesh wound that needs to go to the emergency ER. It is acknowledging what it is. And we actually say it 3 times at the beginning because it works with something called psychological reversal or secondary gain, which means that very often we hold on to certain emotions, habits, patterns, memories, and traumas that in the present moment hinder us, but were in the past a solution to keep us safe. One of my mentors would say, once a solution, now a problem or hindrance. So those parts of us and emotions that come up, they are, so our higher consciousness, our higher self, our higher fullest potential has moved forward, but that part was kind of stuck in that old paradigm. And so that's why I also like asking, like, what's the age of this part? Or how long does it exist for? Because often it also tells us the level of consciousness we were at when it was created. And 10 out of 10 times, it's very often to protect us. Sometimes it's not ours. Sometimes it's, collective. If you're an empath and it's proven by epigenetics and, little babies in the womb, how we absorb and we feel the emotions of the mother. So if it's also a cool question that I like to ask, what's the first, so repeat after me this one, truth. Say the word truth, just to get the vibration. Who does this belong to? That's a question from Access Consciousness. Does it belong to me, someone, something, someplace? If you feel lighter asking that question, it wasn't entirely yours. Sometimes it's a percentage. And then repeat after me. If it's not entirely mine, I return it to sender with consciousness. And I'm open and ready to clear it. Return to sender with consciousness. Return to sender with consciousness. I'm grinning because often with my clients, I ask them, do you know the song by Elvis Presley? Return to sender. And if you do, sing along. So, and then let's all check in with ourselves. How do I feel right now? I feel it's still a 2. From 8 or 9 down to 2 is pretty awesome. And this was very conversational, which gives you also time to reflect. Collarbone. So this is kind of educational tapping. If it's still a 1 or 2, I would ask this part, okay, what does it look like now? It's much lighter. It feels more positive. It feels more this possibility. So I would ask it, tell me, part, what is a message or wisdom that you want me to hear and know? Because now I'm listening and able to hear. I'm hearing a good old cliche. Sometimes there's beautiful cliches. You can do it. You can do hard things. And it doesn't have to be that hard. Sometimes it invites us to go back to who we truly are. And it could be have that conversation, make that action step. Now that, let's say, the fear, the worry, the stress has dropped from a high number down to 2, we can start introducing also positive, or 5 and lower, introducing positive statements that are truthful, things that you know about yourself that you can claim, like, yeah, I've accomplished things, eyebrows. I've overcome certain things. So what if I can? What if I can this too? Woo! You can say woo. What if I can? Because I want to. What if I'm born to create wonderful outcomes? What if I'm meant for greatness? What if it's okay and safe to be my full authentic self? What if I can have fun even while doing hard things? Think of a time where you didn't think you could do something, but you did it, and you did it anyways. It could be, you know, passing a driver's license, or doing something in sport, or private life, or speaking up, or think about that time and like, yeah, what if I can do it again? Because I can. And your eyes, I'm ready. I'm ready to do what it takes. I really am ready to do what it takes. What I really want is to be clear and act fast. So what I'll do right after this tapping is, let's say I would go like, send this email, send this message. What is it for you? And then give yourself 60 seconds to kind of pick up your phone and then do something that will reinforce it. And I feel it's like an 1.5, which is pretty good. Take a breath in, which is pretty good. And out. So this was very gentle, very basic. And shake it off. A lot of people say they feel a bit of a tingle, which is, again, very, very good. The more you do tapping as part of your tools and communicate with it and negotiate with those parts and bring it up, chuck it up to a higher level, you'll get more clarity and awareness. I would sometimes have moments when I couldn't fall asleep and there's certain things happening and I worry, and I would like, well, why don't I use the tools that I know? And I would tap and talk and just say out loud. Again, it fires up and wakes up our frontal cortex more because we speak up, we use movement. It also sends signals to amygdala that the danger is over. So a lot of great things can be released that don't serve us anymore and strengthened that do serve us. So as the final few moments, I invite you to close your eyes, take a breath in, check in with yourself. How do you feel now? What number subjectively would you give it from 0 to 10, the intensity? And what action are you committed to doing? And then imagine you're at the end of your day right now, and imagine yourself that you have completed that action. All done, completed. This video uploaded to YouTube. And notice what it feels like. It could be a sense of, I did it, accomplishment. Notice where in your body you feel it. And then with that feeling and having that vision of you already having completed it, gently open your eyes and let's do it. And then let me know, what did you do and how do you feel?